right, welcome to another edition of Raising Funds for World Domination. So here's the standard intro. It's pretty much the same as last time. Won't spend too much time on that, and I'll skip directly to the development work. So last night, I worked on some changes to the whole rendering pipeline. I'm refactoring that a bit to use a mask-based method and have separate layers. So the before I kind of had a kind of layers, but I had a haphazard way of activating the map, and it was really quite buggy. And actually, I might have also solved that problem with the map flashing on. In this, actually, it's unfortunately some of my recent refactors have made it. The game is much slower now, so I press up and then go off the key legs for a bit. But once I get all these changes done, that should offload some of this extra work onto the individual threads, and it'll also be a lot simpler to optimize. So I have this I have separate layers now, and I could add more layers if I want. So we just has a thing to go through and merge them. I made a couple of other changes this morning actually to just gotta fix this up. So that way what you can do is you can send an update with a null character, and that'll send an indication to basically clear to refresh the layers below it, and then it should get merged correctly. And there's probably lots of optimization that can be done in there. Christopher says, "Good evening, Mr. Stream. Yesterday, nice to see you making progress." Yeah, hopefully. I'm hoping to get a bunch of these changes. I think this thing I'm working on tonight, and maybe, I don't know, hopefully it's only a couple more days to work on this. This will be the last kind of I feel like I've just been refactoring stuff and changing stuff and optimizing, and there's no new content in the game, and it's actually slower. But at least I have the whole frame system. The frame system is working quite well. And it's fairly responsive. It doesn't have weird rendering errors, and previously there was all kinds of concurrency issues where it would highlight the frame wrong and stuff, but it's pretty robust now. I think that's having a decent interface is particularly important for a terminal-based game where it's hard to figure out what you're even looking at. So the next thing to work on is to think about print terminal text changes. Let's see, we got print and prepare. So print is using the mask-based method. Can you take over all of Asia first? Probably not. I'll probably have to start with some of the easier to take over countries first, and then work my way up. Then I can get assets. Then I can get better bank loans for even more domination. Why are there so many arguments? Can't you just wrap it in a struct? Why are there so many arguments? Oh, Yeah, actually, that's a good point, and I may actually even get around to, like for this function, yeah. I'm not sure why. I think I was trying to. Yeah, I can't remember why I made it so many arguments to begin with. I guess a lot of stuff I do is I just like do the simplest incremental thing, but that probably is one of the. You can use the same struct. This is Java, so it'll be a class. But basically, one of the specific things I'm doing tonight is probably going to involve refactoring this, if I can manage to get that finished. And then I think also one of the consequences of the other concurrency fixes I did is that eventually this huge check, I can delete that. So that'll dramatically simplify all of this. So that way the individual frames basically will do this check themselves. It's usually fine when you write it like that, but a single typo will screw you. Yeah, I mean, typos are one thing, but it's hard to read. Programming Java. So that's given. Yeah, probably the first thing I'll do is probably wrap these up in I have a class that'll basically do what those do. is there a reason you chose Java? No heat, just wondering. Sorry if it's a common question. It is a common question, but it's a decent question. I would say for a project like this with lots of string concatenation, I think a language like C or C++ is not appropriate. I've done enough C and C++ to conclude those are not good languages for a project like this. And the alternative is something like maybe Rust would be an alternative. Go would be another alternative. I think there's probably some other ones that you could use, but I would not use Python for this project. It's eventually it'll be just too much code. I think Python's better for lower fidelity stuff. My monitor just turned off for a sec. My cable doesn't have a great connection, I guess. That's not good. How much do you think it's when I wiggle the table? Gotta make it to day 69. Yeah, I guess I'm 2/3 the way there. Hey, uncle. I'm not your uncle. Good night, all. Good luck with your project. Mr. Elder Software. Thank you. All right. It is not crashing. Looks like it works. gonna clock out. Good luck. Have a good night. Thanks for stopping by. It'll be boring anyway. Just gonna do some refactoring of how parameters are sent. So next, I'll make sure that's all committed. So next up, not boring, just 2:45, long week. Well, I'm flattered that there are even people who are willing to tune in for what I've got going on here. Anyway, it's not the most exciting development, I don't think. Waiting for DIY CPU part 2. I have a really good idea for that. I'd like to do it. I just don't have time. I have so many things that I want to do, but and I'm so slow. Today, what did I do? Today I worked on taxes. I have another video. With my live streaming, the theme is raising funds for world domination. I thought I'd just do a simple follow-up to the last one. I've been doing some messing around with AI image generation too. I've been using. I actually signed up for Grok. I already have Grok, but ChatGPT image generation. I tried generating some images on that, and it does generate. The images it generates are pretty impressive, actually. But it's really hit and miss, because the first 6 times I would ask it to generate an image, and it would just it would generate 90% of it. It would take forever, and then it'd be failed networking error, contact customer support. And it would just regenerate and refresh it and create a new chat, and then it started rate limiting me but I didn't even get a single image out of it. So, I mean, this AI stuff, it's the results are amazing, but it almost seems like the simplest problems have not been solved. Just allowing it to, if it has an internal failure, I don't care. Just try again internally. Don't ask me to press a button or something. What was the inspiration for How I Became Dangerous? Shorts video. I guess personally I like the song. My monitor just turned off. That's interesting. I wonder if it's static. Or it's maybe on my motion or something. I've been plugging in the new. That's going to be a problem. I might need a new monitor. Let me push that in. All right, it's good for now. Yeah, it had been on my to-do list, kind of along with the theme of a lot of my shorts were kind of lighthearted, the guy in the fedora hat themed. But it had been on my to-do list for a long time to do some more kind of dark themed, sinister content or shorts, and then I just never got around to it. And people always ask me why did I update my profile picture to the really the kind of sinister looking face, because it didn't match I had like no content that matched that. So I was like, this is my first foray into that type of content. I also think it has the potential for the prospective audience is much broader for that. So that video, I could see that getting like 1 million views someday, whereas another one like on on the top command or something probably won't get quite as much. So a video like that can kind of pull in some audience, a broad audience, and then people discover the more kind of niche content. It's getting warm out. My CPU fan's spinning really loud. All right, so the next piece of refactoring is going to be to encapsulate these three. All right, that's it for that function. Galactic Past says, hello, Robert. How's it going? quantify your daily productivity in terms of lines of code. What range to consider a productive day? Well, there was there's actually a Hacker News thread that has popped up a few times, or I think it might be a blog post or something comes up a few times, and there was like a manager who got a great idea that decided the best way he would measure productivity in like lines of code written. So he went around and like researching like how many lines of code he should push people to write per day, and he went around to like regular developers and stuff, and then he went to this like renowned best developer, and the developer thought about it for a while, and he said probably like negative 100 on a good day. So it's hard to quantify daily productivity in lines of code, because the most satisfying, highest productivity thing ever is like taking thousands of lines of code and then replacing it with like 2 lines of code that are like just some math function or something. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, you could measure it in like how many lines of code you can write, but writing lines is kind of the easiest part of programming. So I don't know. It's just maybe not a good answer, but it's the best I can think of at the moment. I would say how would you differentiate between a normal day and a productive day? It's a good question. Sometimes it can just be resolving a difficult bug. I guess even if you have some like weird concurrency bug or something, even just like isolating a reproducible test case could be like you could spend all day. And then at the end, you find this like one case where you can, write a script to just run it in a certain way, and every single time it crashes. And then once you can reproduce the bug, then you can start debugging it and solving it. But yeah, I guess when you work on simpler problems, maybe like writing, like a super. If you're solving a problem that's like right in your head, you just know how to do it. Maybe you could write like 1,000 lines of code a day, probably on a good day. I have had some days where I was just like writing tons and tons of code. So I think some of the early code on this game idea, I was able to get a lot of it out, and to the point where like it was writing too much code. It was hurting my hands for a while. But yeah, productive day is a day where I have many hours where I don't, I'm not doing anything unproductive, but I also kind of don't get, I don't get derailed. I don't go backward. That's another big thing is have days where you don't do negative work. All right, I'm getting closer. Let's say in your game there is a function which is a black box do. You give it some inputs and it spits out some output. Would you spend your whole day trying to figure out how it works? If it's in my game though, I probably wouldn't be a black box. But even if it was, I can look at the I can just review the code. I don't know. That's a hypothetical that's difficult to answer. Because I guess the premise about it would be it's a black box. I guess if you can transform the question, if it's like if it's a library function that's like compiled binary, like if it's some math library or something. Oh, math function copied from somewhere. Okay, let's say it's a math library. Well, I could transform that into something I have had in the past. During undergrad, I worked on a project where we had to debug this. Like, there was this math library. Actually, our program would just deadlock randomly, and we couldn't figure out why. We thought it was something in our code, and then I figured out that I can use GDB to attach to the running process, and then from that running process, I attached to it when it was deadlocked, did a backtrace, found it was deadlocked in a third-party BLAST library for doing matrix calculations or some, I don't know. I'm not sure why deadlocked, but and yeah, for stuff like that, if the black box is doing something that it's not supposed to, the first thing I'd do is consult the documentation. So the documentation for any reasonable library, it should specify what it's supposed to input, what is supposed to be the inputs and outputs. So then I try to figure out, like, is this a bug in the implementation? So I'd first look up the docs, then I'd look up for like reports or discussion that maybe the black box has known bugs or something. But other than that, if the black box returns the outputs that I want, then I don't actually need to figure out how it works internally. You have the source code available, but you don't know what the function is doing. For example, I'm trying to implement some lighting to my engine, and the function which calculates the final color of the pixel has some intermediate steps which I don't understand. And it's bugging me so bad I can't focus on anything else. Okay, in situations like that, so like I have generally, if you're working on something like that, like those kinds of highly mathematical things, like when I was trying to learn Berlin noise, for example, what I would do if I were you, like a lot of that type of code, is it like a super like almost minified looking code, like it's just variables like A, B, C, D, A, X, CX. If it's something like that, the first step I would do is So you don't. So first off, you don't want to break it. I would even just take your like whatever your freshly copied and pasted code is. Start like the simplest empty project that you can think of, or like a minimal project, something with like a really tight feedback loop. Like if it's just something calculating one mathematical result, I would just maybe create like one hello world.java, and then just I'd be able to do Java C and then run it, so I can start iterating on it fast. The first thing I'd do is start rewriting that code, and I'd also check this in, because as you rewrite it and like try to understand it and give it better variable names, you might introduce an error. So if it starts off with like just one letter variable names, the first thing to do would be name the variables based on what you understand that they are. And if there's stuff like, if something has like a ternary operator, then rewrite the ternary operator as like an if-else, and don't worry about the performance of it. Just keep rewriting it in a more understandable form that makes sense to you. And then just every little incremental change you do, just test it to make sure you didn't like, because like let's say you rewrite a ternary operator or something, you might think, oh, okay, if I rewrite with this ternary operator, it's if else, it's the same thing, right? And then you rewrite it and you run it, and it totally doesn't work, and you're like, wait a minute, why is that not the same? And there may be some subtle, or like a variable, for example, is it's declared as int, and then you rewrite it and you like expand something out or simplify it, you change it to a long, and then you run it and it doesn't work because you think, well, that should be the same, but it's not. So often that process of rewriting it will force you to discover things. Like if you're just scanning the code, you might say, oh, this line means this ternary operator, or this data type, or this bitwise operator does this in your head, and then you rewrite it, and then it stops working from that just one little tiny change as you're refactoring it. And then that's your eureka moment where you're like, oh, okay, this works differently than I thought it did, because it's something to do with data types or some math trick, or there's all kinds of like bit hacks and stuff in graphics programming. And then each time you rewrite it, verify that it's working, and further that it's like working in exactly the same way. So if you can like, start off with some test case where the result is like 1, 2, 3, 4 or something, and then just maintain the functionality of it, and then just slowly make it more understandable. And then once it's a piece of code you can understand, then you can start manipulating it. I was thinking something like 2, but because this code runs in the GPU, shaders, I would have to implement shader hot reloading first to my engine. I don't know how much work that is. Shader hot reloading. Yeah, I have no idea how much work that is. But I would actually argue, like, if you are kind of stuck, like if this is a significant part of your project, and if that is likely to save you time on other things, it might be worth investing in just like getting yourself to anything that will let you like close the iteration and feedback loop faster in the future is going to have like exponential gains for you in the future. So if it's like an hour to do that or something, then it might be worth it. Especially if you can reuse it for other kinds of debugging. For productivity, did you try GPT codecs and using it at work? If it's a cheat code, I've been plugging it with my GitHub. Just so satisfying, watching it go, and everything just works. GPT codecs, is that the newest like Chat GPT Auto? I don't know. I don't even know what that is. Honestly, I haven't not done much AI code generation stuff lately. I've been playing around way more with AI image generation. It's an agent that runs on its own. Yeah, before I actually run stuff on my computer, I kind of want to do a lot more research. I mean, it's almost scary, the idea of just like giving access. Like I'd probably want to like actually set up a machine dedicated for that, because I don't want it to like go through my files or something. Delete, rm-rf. Drupal implement hot reloading. I think I have to implement multi-threading first. Not quite sure though. Hot reloading. Are you sure it's necessary? I don't know what. It sounds like hot reloading would be at runtime in the game. But couldn't you just like like often for a project for like development is different from learning. So often on projects, like if I have some very specific bug or feature I want to learn and understand, especially if I have a bug, or if you're trying to reverse engineer some algorithm, I would just like take and copy and paste, like make sure your project's backed up or whatever, copy and paste, make a second copy of the entire project, and then delete absolutely everything in the project except for that like one specific thing, and then just like do, like I said, refactor it, rewrite the code, and you don't even need like an intelligible project. It could just be like one, a couple of pixels rendered on the screen, or whatever's the minimal output that you need to see to actually verify that, for example, you're not breaking your code, or like just draw a line or something, or whatever's the minimum amount of stuff. And then because if you can get to that stage where you've got like a 100 line or 30 line example that you can play with, and you're like removing the complexity of your entire project, it just gets a lot easier at that point. Hey, this is actually working. I'm not understanding what is happening here. Right now, I am working on some user interface improvements for my terminal-based video game. So this here is what the game looks like. So it's a terminal-based video game. I wander around. I spam the M key to mine blocks in the game, and then they show up in my inventory. And that's basically it. And this is what the code looks like. This is what it looks like. It compiles, and my recent changes did not break everything, which is good. could do a change in the shaders, save it, compile, and run the engine. If I want to do another change, I have to close the engine, change the shader code, compile it again, and so on. But if I have hot reloading, I can change shader code. How much time does it take to close the engine? Or to and to upload the shader code and so forth. So I would assume for a normal build process, it can't be more than a few seconds. It's instant. I mean, I'd say if it's instant, then you have to, I guess, prioritize what, sub-second. So if it's if your goal is to understand, I forget if you said you had a bug in it or something, or if you just wanted to understand it, but I would what was the end goal? You want to use a bug in it, or you want to understand it, or you want to change it or improve it? Understand how the lighting function works. Yeah, I mean, it takes time to really understand stuff, but if you can rewrite it, if the process of compiling and running it only takes a few seconds, then I would do that. You could maybe just copy and paste your whole project, delete everything else, or if it's not too hooked in, then just start rewriting it, put it in its own file, and make it a task of yourself to take all the variable names. If it looks like a minified code, then go through the process of unminifying it. Rachel Thornhill Cook, what are you working on? I am working on some updates to refactor how text is printed to the screen in the terminal block mining game, which I can illustrate here if I compile it. So the game is a terminal-based video game where you simulate the process of mining blocks. You wander around, spam the M key, and then the blocks show up in your inventory. And right now it's kind of laggy, so I'm working on improvements to the screen rating. Cool indeed. So I think maybe one of the next things to do will be to try and I need like a buffer within every thread, every user interface thread. How do I make a CPU? This is easy. You just gotta get a rock. Then you smash the rock. And some other steps too. Made a video on that. Does your computer have dedicated GPU? I have a few computers kicking around, a bunch of old laptops. This one I don't think does. Upload bot says, "Hey Robert, I'm here. How's it going?" Jack Lupino says, hello everyone. How's it going? Will you check out my project when it's somewhat presentable? There was someone in the Discord who posted a link to a game project. Was that you? There was, I think, a couple of people who were talking about a game project, but yeah, I can take a brief look. Or there's some people in the Discord channel. I need to actually. I set up my own Discord and I forgot to even link it anywhere. I need to actually add that to my. I don't even know what the link is to my my own Discord server. But yeah, from there, I'll have to put that in my YouTube like channel links. Posted a video. Not posted a link yet. Oh, I think I saw that video. Did I press the like button on that? There was a video there. Someone mentioned a game. I clicked like on it. All right, that works, and it does not crash. Terry Davis? Nope, not quite. Sorry, I've been quiet. I was finishing a Twitch stream while watching your stream from my peripheral. Wow, two streams at once. That's a lot of work. Trying to get affiliate on Twitch so I could burn all that money on a data center. Excellent. How much work is it to become an affiliate on Twitch? And what does that to give you? I know of that and I've heard of it. It's like a certain number of hours streamed or something. Game Dev Chad says, good morning. How's it going? The requirements are quite low compared to YouTube. Reach 25 followers, stream for 4 hours, stream on 4 different days, and an average of 3 viewers. Wow, that's achievable, I guess. And then once you get affiliate, what do you gain from that? I forgot how to declare an array in Java. Let's see, what am I doing wrong? Oh, of course. You can create subscriptions with different levels. Subscriptions give viewers the privilege of not having ads. Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, I know about the subs. I wasn't sure that. So I guess the affiliate is where you're officially basically allowed to try and start monetizing. That's pretty achievable, I guess. On YouTube, it's a lot more. I think at least a year or two before I got monetized on YouTube. People can give subs. Yeah, there's you can also gift them on here on YouTube as well. Didn't know that. I guess it's rare compared to Twitch. It depends, I guess. I find with Twitch, or on YouTube, YouTube seems to like optimize for giving you more of what you're getting. So since I started this stream, like on this stream, I'm soliciting super chats, and since I've been doing that, I don't think I've gotten even a single subscription, and a single new or channel member in like at least a couple of weeks. I think I've only gotten maybe like 2 or 3 new members from streaming in the last few weeks. And now that's contrasted with I did like if you go back and look at my live streams tab, I did a bunch of different experiments. One was live streaming until I got $1, live streaming until I got $2, live streaming until I get X dollars, and I just doubled it each time until I got to 1,024, which that only took a couple hours, but that was around like peak traffic time around Christmas, and so my videos were going viral. And then later I did live streaming until I gain X number of channel members, and with that one I got a few gifted subs. So I stopped on 32 new channel members, and in fact a lot of those were gifted, but I did get like maybe 10 organic members on that stream. That stream lasted I think 14 hours, and that was when I discovered that YouTube only saves the VOD up to 11 hours and 55 minutes. Post my videos I record on YouTube, do gaming live streams on Twitch. I prioritize my YouTube because of what you get of it once monetization is achieved. Yeah, YouTube does seem to be better for monetizing stuff, as long as you don't post anything that's too crazy that gets demonetized. I should test resizing. I love how that, no, that didn't work. It's not good. Huh. Interesting. Do age-restricted content get monetized? I think it can. I think if you're like, if you have stuff that's getting age-restricted, it's kind of in the danger zone. I think it gets like less monetization. The ideal stuff is like, you know, G-rated. I guess if it's like, if it's kind of edgy content, it has to be like really, really good content and get, you know, huge numbers of views, like hundreds of thousands, that really make a difference. Add all to gardening? What's that? UI scaling based on a random seed. Seems like a revolutionary idea. Oh, I think, I mean, if you post content about that, I think that's quite likely to get demonetized. It may be, I think it's quite likely that if you start to become, like, it won't be a problem unless, as long as you're not getting many views. But then once you get lots of views, then someone at YouTube will take a look at the channel and be like, oh, demonetized. You might be able, I don't know, you'd have to research. I'm sure there's other people in that category, but my guess is that most of them probably monetize a different way other than like ads. UI scaling based on a random seed seems like a revolutionary idea. Do you mean that for like a testing method? I could add some unit tests to like randomly resize the UI. YouTube recommended. Excellent. That means that YouTube has decided you're interested in Linux command line and indie game development and other tech-related topics. Hi, Mr. Hacker, 3000 Pro Max. 3000 Pro Max. That's very generous of you. Will this game have enemies or some kind of failure condition? Yeah, eventually. The current saga of changes just like getting the UI to be these are some of like the most boring changes. I want to get those out of the way first because they're also going to improve the usability of it as well. Never got a strike on my account, so I'm in the right direction. It depends. How many views do you get per video? Robert, have you considered doing a collab with Primogen or programmers? Programmers are human too. I'm not opposed to any of that. Right now, there's just so many things going on, and I have so many deadlines. Well, most recently, the renovation thing, that was a distraction. That's slowing down a bit. But now I got to do taxes, and then I'm also trying to push toward actually finishing a version of this that I can actually release. Yeah, I don't know. I guess you can like call people on Discord or whatever and collab that way. But like going somewhere in person. I mean, there's even people that I know around KW. I wouldn't mind like interviewing or something. I don't even get the time to collab with them. 30 to 1,000 views on average. I guess if you're thinking about it from like a business perspective, you'd want to think about so you can start with an amount of money and work backwards. So let's say your goal is to make like $30 a day. Then you're going to have to get so the CPM, or like RPM, so revenue per thousand is maybe like, I think for some of my videos it's like $6 to $8 or something. So to get $30 a day, you need what is that, 5,000 views a day? Five times 8 is 40. So 40 to get $40 a day. 5,000 views a day for your long form. So $40 a day. That's a decent. Maybe we're not actually paying your rent, but like for orders of magnitude. So you've got to have videos that are watchable to that many people. And a big part of the process of like learning how to make content that people want to watch is, you may depends how much production you put into it and stuff. Yeah, total views a day. And that's just like if your goal is make $40 a day, and you're getting $8 CPM, just working backwards on the math is you got to have around 5,000 views a day on those long form videos that are like decently monetizable. And you got to have that amount of views every day. So often when you first release a video, it'll get a lot of views at once, and then I think the algorithm is discovering like is this a good video that people want to watch? And it's also like, not only is the video good, but what is the video about? So if you do like totally random videos about stuff and there's no connection between the topic, it'll be really hard for YouTube to figure out what the channel's about. If you look at my channel, like some of my most videos are, my views are quite sporadic. So I think actually my channel is actually pretty random. But I think and especially for the videos that bring in the most money, someone has manually watched those. So my how to make CPU one, that's the top one, and I'm sure at least someone at YouTube, like, in fact, I'm pretty sure that's what happened. Is someone at YouTube, like, it went into some moderation queue, and then someone like saw it and they're like, okay, this is okay for general, this is like approved for general distribution, and then they clicked like approve, and then it because then the views just immediately took off. And also I started publishing one video every day for a little while before that, so I think that was also part of the catalyst. Scratch 30, it's around 250, 1200 a day. Are you let's see, did you say you're monetized? I forget. Fall Mov says hello. How's it going? How's the smog for you? Yesterday it was actually quite thick. When I went outside, you could like actually smell fire, and it was noticeable. So starting to get I was on the threshold of getting a sore throat. Today wasn't too bad. My videos about shady activity, my city gets the most views. Yeah, I mean, if something's working, you can do more of it. Although, if it's content specifically, if it's like local content, you also have to think about what is the total addressable audience. So the people who are most interested in that are probably people who live in that city. So the total addressable market for a given video is maybe it's most likely restricted to people who are interested in that specific content or that area, and there's lots of videos on YouTube about shady stuff. So you have lots of competition. Video titled Configuring Librem 5 phone for ePBX is top result in Google. Yeah, I find as you experiment, you'll come across things that that just work. So you can just keep doing more of things that work, and you can kind of find like a category of content that just like, you know, it's like a mini gold mine of content. And you do more of it. Having said that, even though like the more specific and niche you go, the more you can like rank number one. But if you do something extremely niche, you know, you'll dominate that market, but that might mean like a couple of views a day, which maybe doesn't even translate to enough revenue. Haven't seen any from Reno, Nevada. Yeah, it's I did blogging for years, and I've written hundreds of blog articles, and the pivot to YouTube was kind of a more recent thing. YouTube content is just over time it just seemed like the blog content just got less and less views, and now everything seems to be video. And I guess in hindsight, when I reflect on my own consumption of content, video content is also where I spend a lot of my time. you ever browse /G or Lain, L-A-I-N? I assume you mean 4chan. I've visited 4chan like a couple times, and I just can't get into it. I want to try to do mostly tech, so I could get free stuff from sponsors. My favorite being Ubiquity, or half and half on, so YouTube isn't confused. Yeah, I guess if you can get the sponsors, if you can pull in the views, it's all about having the content that the audience wants, and the proof being in the numbers. Got some goofy ideas. Seem stupid, but are genius. I'd even go as far as to say they can save money. Goofy ideas that can save money. If it works, it works, I guess. Now, let's see what this looks like, if it even runs. All right, that is expected. I must go reinstall Ubuntu server from an old laptop. Trust the old Ubuntu server. Have a good night. Actually, let's test something. See if that worked. Who doesn't love Ubuntu? I guess there's some people that aren't fans of it. Archchance W. just joined. What are you doing in the matrix and why? I am currently working on refactoring the rendering of frames in my, speaking of matrix, we got some zeros on the screen right now. Interesting. Yeah, so this is, oh, interesting. Okay, so it is kind of working. I'm working on refactoring the user interface so that it can, it'll be more efficient, and it also kind of offloads some of the work to other threads. It looks like it might be almost working. Kali logo is sick. Isn't it, it's like a dragon or something, isn't it? Remember reading something about ID where they had mentioned Doom ID Tech no longer uses dedicated render thread. Instead, they had a thread pool that runs rendering tasklets at the frame graph dependencies. Pool executes those and submits those to the GPU. Yeah, this doesn't, it doesn't use any, there's no GPU involved. Honestly, this is, what I'm doing is kind of simple stuff that other people have probably done endlessly, but to make it work with my system, with everything else, there's other like libraries and stuff that maybe I could use, but I mean, one of the issues is by the time you learn a library, I find you learn all the flaws in the library, and you think like, someone should write a better version of this. And the fact that all the code is written in my image now anyway, it's the easiest thing to extend. No super chats? Oh yeah, there's no super chats. It's it is what it is. The concurrent viewer count was lower tonight, and honestly, I think at some point people get kind of tired of day after day raising money for world domination. But it was just an experiment. Anything that I got was I think just the cherry on top. I could have just done all this work offline. Oh, thank you. You didn't need to do that. Your Game Dev Chad, you've been single-handedly holding up the revenue stream for the last couple of weeks. You've been you're definitely one of the top contributors. Thank you very much for that. Since all CPU rendering, maybe you can port it to an old iPod. Maybe the use of Java, I think the jar file itself is pretty huge and it probably requires a lot of memory. So I guess the fact that it runs on it could probably render on anything, nearly anything, but the actual execution of the code is probably going to need a decent computer. So one of the next things to do, so these commented send console print messages should be those are going to need to be I need to instead write those into the buffer, the local buffer. Do you check the OS people watch your videos on? I'm not sure. I don't think I've actually. I don't even remember if YouTube reports that. Heading out. Have a good one. Have a good night. Thank you very much for the super chat. I remember when I on my blog, Google Analytics used to show that, and there was there was a decent sized audience of Linux people, but it was still, even though most of my content is about Linux and stuff, there was still quite an audience from Windows. For now, I will copy and paste this. Does you just have to choose the filters. I only have under 500 Linux users. Interesting. I know Linux usage is going up over time, which is good. right, that might satisfy the buffered right. Linux users going up because of Microsoft. Yep. They're, I don't even think they care anymore. Which is almost scary to think that like Microsoft giving up is kind of what we want, but it's also scary because that means that they're going to become so hostile. Like still a lot of people use Windows, but they're going to become so hostile and profit driven now that it's going to be impossible to use their software. But not impossible, but it's going to be so predatory now. Like the whole Microsoft recall and all the garbage. Okay, with any luck, this will just completely work. Let's change one thing. All right, here goes nothing. I'm pro-privacy. Time to make a new OS, Robert, for world domination. I already did. It's a lot of work to make an operating system. I already made one. And I made it like a microkernel. And it's, I mean, the hard part is like supporting every piece of hardware under the sun. Privacy is just the poor man's software. Piracy is just the poor man's software store. Oh, I misread that. Piracy, not privacy. Microsoft themselves, I think, may be okay with just being a provider of user land services. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's exactly what they're thinking. And like they probably see the writing on the wall, and they're just like. My guess is that they're just like. We don't care about this business anymore. Like we don't even care to monopolize it. So we're just gonna like totally destroy the value of our brand. Like that happens to a lot of companies. It's you'll develop a brand that's worth a lot of money, and then if they decide this is not the future, like there's value in their brand. It's like if you have a bunch of fruit that's going to expire, you would like get whatever you can get out of it, sell it for as much as you can, or bake some bread with it or something, or you just squeeze the life out of it because it's not going to last forever. And I think that's what they're doing with Windows now. They already moved Azure IoT to Linux. Yeah, that's funny. They don't even use their own software. My web hosting services are going to be Linux only. I just got censored. Yep. Honestly, the status quo of censorship is I could see the censorship we have is so random. I mean, like we think about censorship as being like living in the Soviet Union, and if you're like, hey, I think the government or the leader is bad, everyone's like, oh, obviously that's really bad. You'll get censored. But then the actual like 1984 censorship world that we live in, it's like you get censored for random stuff. It's like if you type one of the things people were complaining about was they were talking about launching a web server with Python-M or something, and apparently when they include the -M, that gets censored. I mean, we're talking about programming. Imagine if we were like talking about something that you're already like, worried or self-conscious about. Another advantage of Twitch. Auto mode is customizable. Yeah, I've heard that. Well, from what I understand, though, Twitch has more random moderation. Like they have they're easier with they don't detect copyrighted material as much, so you can like play copyrighted content more. But from what I understand, like you can get banned and censored a lot more than YouTube, or like for like certain types of things you can say or do. But I don't know, it's kind of contradictory. It's like it's a different set of things you get banned for. Oh, this might compile. This will be the moment of truth. If it just works, then it'll be great. Nice. Index out of bounds. Some videos are blocked from Russia just because of a song. Well, it's not a huge loss, I guess. Oh, we still got a menu. That's almost what it's supposed to look like. Oh wow, I saw a flash of something. It's totally messed up. North Korea too. So your videos won't play in North Korea? That's rough. That's interesting. Does it actually tells you that it's blocked in North Korea? Well, that's totally broken. Oops. Emma says hi. How's it going? Yoshikage Kira says hello. Well, that's pretty broken, but I did make some progress tonight. It'll be just a bit of, hopefully it'll be just a bit of setting the offsets and stuff. As basically what I had before was when every thread would just, anytime it wanted to print anything like one line of text, it would send one message to the console writer thread. But now every thread is going to, for the render phase, everything it prints to a buffer, and then that buffer is sent once at the end. That should mean it, and also I made it. I made each of the buffers the size of the frame instead of the size of this entire terminal. So all my offsets are off, and then I also I may have to tweak that function to detect changes, because it has to send along anything that's changed. All right, I'll leave it there for tonight. I guess we'll be back at it tomorrow. So see you guys tomorrow. Later.